Hi, my name's Kevin Bell. I'm from Newcastle in the north of England, but I lived and worked both in Japan for about a decade and then in the United States, where I did my master's and stayed around New England, working for Marlborough College, Southern New Hampshire, Northeastern University. 4 years ago, I came to Australia as Pro Vice Chancellor Digital Futures at Western Sydney University. I've worked in a number of disruptive, innovative, technically enhanced online digital environments. Not a career path that was planned out and carefully thought through, just serendipitous opportunity that came partly on the back of an interest in computers. My mum was a lecturer in computer studies. My dad was a teacher. So I always had that kind of education, technology, nuance, if you like, and did my master's in a hybrid format at Marlborough College, which is a very small liberal arts college in Vermont that had a graduate school started by a guy called Paul LeBlanc. And I was in one of the first cohorts to go through that, 99, 2000. I did make contact with the aforementioned Professor LeBlanc, and at one stage he invited me across to Southern New Hampshire to lead their online college and continuing ed, which we grew in my time from about 20,000 to about 80,000. And then I headed up the academic side of what became the Innovation Lab, developing what became College for America. As Paul says, the unpretentious, not at all overly grand title for the first seat time agnostic competency-based learning platform to gain federal approval and support in the United States. So privileged to work at SNU. Always think of myself as a bit of a snoobie and keep tabs on them. Moved to Northeastern to kind of do a SNU was the theory, and it sort of worked. We developed an online experiential learning team and put a lot of programming in a lot of regional centers in campuses in Seattle, North Carolina, etc. Worked with some great people in their College of Professional Studies. And at the same time, took my doctorate at the University of Penn, where I made some great connections, great people, very tough, intensive course that provoked a lot more research for me personally into intrinsic motivators and student engagement and completion, particularly underrepresented minorities in online and digital education. Western Sydney gave me a call. I came home to my Canadian wife and American kids and said, hey, guess what? Australia. And they all kind of said, that would be cool, which was a shock. But we went for it and have found that Australia is kind of the good compromise solution. It's a bit like England with a lot better weather. It's got some of the good elements of the US, and it's got its own culture and about 300 or 400 animals and plants that can kill you just in your back garden. So we've enjoyed our time in Oz. My tenure at Western Sydney ended at the end of 2000, and I had some grand plans to move on to some different things, pretty much all of which were somewhat scuppered by this COVID thing. So I've been officially part of the gig economy. I am CEO, founder, and sole employee of a company called Digital Education Analytics, and I'm working for, among others, Florida State University and the University of Pennsylvania. I'm also doing some consulting for KPMG, and I'm looking at a few full-time things that seem to be coming to fruition right now. So I'm delighted to be involved. I've met Warren, who's organizing most of this, a number of times, mostly virtually, and think that he's a perfectly good person for a South African, and that comes on the rugby background of them beating England in the World Cup. So great guy. Loving being part of this community, including Paul LeBlanc and many other leaders in online and higher ed, Whitney Kilgore, who I'm also working with at iDesign. So I'm delighted to be on board. I think it's a great project. Looking forward to virtually meeting as many of you as I can, and hope that you will drop in anytime you're in Western Sydney and want to experience Oz life. So all the best. Look forward to the conversation and have a great time with it. Engage and enjoy. Cheers.